Good morning, boys and girls. So we are on day 14 of Glory Be. We're getting towards the end of our book. So last time when we read, it's Glory's birthday, and they're at the parade, and she's hanging out with Laura, and Jesslyn gave her a charm bracelet, and everything seems to be going good. But we know that there's a lot of big events and big emotions happening around this day and around all of the changes happening in Hanging Moss. So we're going to wait and see what happens next and how that affects Glory and her birthday. So for day 14, chapter 26 is not a super long chapter, but it does have a lot of important events. So day 14 is just chapter 26, and then day 15 we will do 27 and 28 and 29. So chapter 26, Hanging Moss Hornets. Laura, Jesslyn, Robbie, and me sat on our picnic blanket, watching the Girl Scout troops and the firemen march by. Frankie had just up and left. I taught Laura a hand clap game. Clap, clap, knee, clap, clap, knee, clap, clap. We both kept mixing up the knee clap and the hand clap. This made us laugh harder than hard. Jesslyn was stuffing Emma's brownies into Robbie's mouth, 2 at a time, and giggling. A clown handed us red and blue balloons. Maybe this July 4th celebration would turn out to be okay after all. I did a double clap with Laura to the band's drumming. The parade was winding down. That's the last fire truck, Jesslyn said. Won't be long before it's dark. She reached for the bug juice and started gathering up napkins and cups. Let's take this to the fireworks. But before Jesslyn could put the leftover brownies into the basket, I heard one of the loudest voices ever. Hey you, big shot. JT had his fist balled deep into the pockets of his blue jeans. His eyes were squinched tight. His friends stood behind him with their shoulders hunched up. Who'd given them an invitation to join the party? Having fun at the parade? JT wanted to know. Nobody, especially not Robbie, answered. How'd life treat you down in the pen? My heart jumped into my throat. Robbie's jaw went tight, and his mouth made a hard line. The boy standing next to JT leaned up in Robbie's face. Yeah, Mr. Football Hero, we heard you were in jail. JT and his friends surrounded Robbie. JT said, Since you like eating hamburgers with the coloreds, take a taste of this. And JT spat right in Robbie's face. His spit landed on Robbie's cheek. They all laughed so hard, and then as they walked off, those mean boys poked each other and laughed some more. I'd never seen the likes of that kind of hateful. So, stop for a second. We've got a couple of important events. So first, we know that JT yells at Robbie at the parade, and he tells them that he knows that he was in jail. And this is a really big event because this shows that when Glory told Frankie the secret, that Frankie must have told JT for him to have known it. And so that's a big deal. And because the whole time Glory's thinking, oh, they're going to find out, or what if Frankie tells? And now we know that Frankie did tell his brother. And now they're confronting Robbie about it. We also know that JT spits on Robbie. And when Glory says, I've never seen that kind of hateful, that shows that these acts together of him getting in his face and yelling at him at the parade and spitting on him is this huge event that shows JT's character and really how he feels about Robbie and his choices. Okay, so make sure that you're writing these down with me so that way for your Google form, you know what questions to answer. Robbie wiped the spit off the back of it with the back of his hand. He was gripping the neck of his Coke bottle and not saying a word. Jesslyn grabbed my arm. Glory! She pulled me up off the blanket and dragged me to where nobody could hear us. Her fingernails dug into my skin. Her eyes drilled a hole big enough to kill me. Who told JT about Robbie? I didn't tell JT, I said. Frankie must have said something. Who told Frankie? But the look on Jesslyn's face told me that she'd figured it out. You eavesdropped in the car going to Tupelo. You heard Robbie's secret. My face went red. My throat was burning, trying to choke back tears. Now Jesslyn was the one spitting angry words at me. You little brat. She tore off, disappearing into the crowd of clowns and music and red and blue balloons. I sat by myself, unraveling a hole in the red-plaid blanket. Most everybody had moved towards the big field where the sky would soon light up with fireworks. So now we know that Glory feels awful for telling Frankie the secret because then Frankie told JT. So she knows that Frankie must have told JT the secret because JT confronted Robbie about it. And now Jess Lynn knows that Glory told and is really angry with her on her birthday. So, like I said, this is maybe a shorter chapter, but there's a lot of important events that happen in this chapter. So if you need to pause the video at any time to write something down, then go ahead and do that. Jess Lynn and Robbie had walked away from me without even saying a word, gone off to sit under the pecan tree. I wrapped my arms around my knees, trying to shut out what I'd done to Robbie. When I felt somebody drop down next to me on the blanket, I wiped away my tears and looked up. Laura grabbed my hand tight. She motioned in the direction of the library. "Glory, look," she whispered. Well, if it ain't Elvis alive and in person, JT and his friends were back. One of the football players yelled out, "Show 'em what you got, JT." Robbie pulled away from Jess Lynn and stepped in front of JT. "You've got something for me?" JT glanced back at his friends. "Sure do, don't we? We all have got something for you, Mr. Football Hero." Robbie didn't move. Jess Lynn stepped closer to him. I wasn't breathing too good now. My heart was steady to jump out of my shirt. Was ready to jump out of my shirt. "Shouldn't you be leaving town?" one of the football players yelled. "Maybe you should be going back to jail," JT shouted. "Why are you still here?" called out another one of those mean boys. So many voices hollered at Robbie, saying bad things. How was he going to get away from them all? JT took off his jacket and threw it down on the grass. "Why'd you come to Hanging Moss in the first place?" he shouted. "Trying to take over the team? You think you're better than me?" JT was up in Robbie's face now. "Or did you come down here because you didn't like sharing your jail cell with a colored boy?" I held my breath. "Step away, JT," Robbie said. "There's no need to cause trouble." "Trouble? You caused trouble back where you came from." JT leaned in close to Robbie, hauled off, and whacked him in the stomach. Robbie fell hard on the ground. Jess Lynn screamed. Robbie tried to get up, but another boy pulled him down and started kicking. "See how tough you are now, Freedom Rider," JT hollered. "Get off your butt and show me what you got." I shut my eyes to keep the tears away, but I couldn't stand there another minute doing nothing. I raced over and stood right next to Robbie. "If y'all don't leave my friend alone, I'm running for the police," I yelled. So now JT punched Robbie in the stomach and starts a fight. And Glory runs to Robbie and stands up to JT. So those are two big important events that are happening right now. So this whole 4th of July parade just ended. And then JT and his friends come up to Robbie and start this big fight. Boys, stop. So make sure that you write these down for your Google form. Bruce, stop. All right, let's finish the chapter. If we can, without these dogs being crazy.
No time.
Stop.
Spin.
Stop it. All right. JT laughed like it was all so funny. "Look who's going to save your behind, Robbie." His voice was quiet at first, and I wasn't sure what he was saying. "Little Miss Snotnose, my sissy's brother's girlfriend." JT reached into his front pocket and pulled something out. Even standing in the near-about dark in one of the dim street lights, I could see a glint shining in his hand. Frankie's brother had a switchblade. "How do you like this, Robbie Fox?" JT snapped the knife open. He waved it in Robbie's face, closed it quickly, and then stuffed it back in his pocket. "You go home to where you came from. We don't like people trying to butt in where they ain't welcome. And we sure don't need you on our football team." Then JT and his friends picked up their Hanging Moss Hornets jackets and walked away. Robbie had his head between his legs and was gulping air. "Shh." Jess Lynn sat on the ground next to him. I couldn't stop shaking. I've got to call the police, I said. Robbie spoke slowly, like it hurt bad to talk. Not calling anybody. No police. I can't let my aunt know. After a while, Jess Lynn and I helped Robbie up, but he couldn't walk until he caught his breath. So, JT pulls out a knife and threatens Robbie with it. He says, you need to go home before, something bad happens, basically. And he pulls out a switchblade, which is a knife, to show Robbie that he's serious and that he's threatening him. And then when Glory says, we've got to call the police, and Robbie refuses to. So make sure that you write these events down and you put them in order. And I'm going to show them again in a second because we only have half a page left of this chapter. Sorry, it's kind of noisy in the background. House is crazy today. Both of us are working from home, so it's getting a little nuts. So in a minute or two, when I finish the chapter, I'm going to put this up. Make sure you put these events in order because that's going to be your task for the Google form. When I looked back, there was Frankie leaning against a tree, holding his glasses in his hand. I could tell plain as day that he was blubbering. I didn't care how hard Frankie cried. He could sob all night as far as I was concerned. Off behind the library, the first few fireworks started to light up the sky in bright bursts of red and blue. Smells of cotton candy and too much butter on popcorn left over from the parade about made me throw up. I grabbed Robbie's hand and squeezed it tight. Come on, I said. We need to see if Emma or Daddy's home. They'll know what to do. And that's where we stop today. So I'm going to show you our important events. Make sure you write them down in order for your Google form. So if you need to take a second and pause the video, that's a great idea so that you can write these all down. Your task on your Google form, I'm going to give you all of these events and they're going to be mixed up and it's going to be your job to put them in order. So make sure that you write these down in order so that you are ready to go. All right, I will see you next time for day 15.